Well, Ghana and South Africa are collaborating to begin an astronomy program, and that simply means it is studying our solar system to enable us better understand how our world interacts with, say, the sun, the moon, stars, and other planets. Essentially, this will help us, among others, undertake advanced reading of the weather in order to prepare against adverse weather conditions such as rainstorms, earthquakes, typhoons, etc., and if possible, prepare preventive measures. This flight light observatory between the two countries will take place at the Kuntunsi satellite station here in Accra next month. In the studio with me are two scientists from the Ghana Atomic Energy. They'll tell us what this is all about. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us in the studio. Really, tell us a bit more about this program. You can start.
Okay, the SKA project is a collaboration between Ghana and South Africa. It's a scientific project with a lot of socioeconomic benefits. What Ghana and South Africa is doing is we have taken an old redundant antenna which was used for communication but which is no longer in use, and we now converted it to a radio telescope which is being used to train engineers, scientists, which can then go in and work in other fields like the weather you talk about, like in medicine and in other fields of our socioeconomic development.
Well, you say that this will help us predict the weather. Are you doing this in collaboration, for instance, with the meteorological agency? We've had a lot of issues trusting them and trusting their judgment when they advise us on what to expect in terms of the weather, etc. Are you doing it in collaboration with them?
Yeah, for now, I would say we are not doing that in collaboration with them, because for now, our weather station is not yet installed here. So we are, as part of the project, we have what we call an automated weather remote. So for as part of the project, what will I say? We have what do you call a weather station that is a bit more advanced.
Right.
Which will also help us in advising on weather conditions.
All right.
And just to add to that, we also have seismic. We will have that. Those ones are not yet installed. We have seismic activity monitoring warning station.
Okay.
We'll be able to advise on any seismic activity that will be recorded, not only in Ghana but across the sub-region.
Okay, so how does South Africa come in? You're doing it in collaboration with South Africa? Is it because they are sponsoring it, or how do they come in?
Yeah, you know, when you are doing this kind of science, you can't do it with one telescope.
Okay.
And in the whole world, we only had one telescope on the African continent, which was in South Africa.
Okay.
But the scientists were not getting enough resolution of the data because there was no telescope in the center of the universe. So Ghana, we needed to have a telescope here to support the one in South Africa so that the two telescopes can together do the research and come out a high resolution data, which then we can use to make more accurate predictions, like what he has been talking about.
You were talking of how Science South Africa came in. There is an ongoing world astronomy project known as the Square Kilometer Array Project that is set a facility to be built that will be half hosted in South Africa together with 8 other African countries, including Ghana and Australia and New Zealand on the other side. So as Ghana as part and Africa as part of this project, South Africa realized that the resources, both human and material, in this field is not so much. Okay. So one of the reasons of this project, why they have committed so much money in seeking to this project, is to build the needed human and human resources.
Perhaps the logistical.
That is it, to train people.
Provisions.
Yes, so that when the full project, that the Square Kilometer Array is in session, then we have people across the globe, across Africa, who will also be part.
And this has been spearheaded. This has been spearheaded by the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission Agency, or is it a private venture?
It is spearheaded by Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. And Ghana Atomic Energy is an agency under Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. So Ghana Atomic Energy was tasked to host the project and execute the technical aspect of it.
What are the timelines we're looking at here?
We are looking at launching the telescope in August 23rd this year.
23rd
yes,
of August,
yes.
Which is next month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And once you launch it, how long does it take for us to begin to reap the benefits that you've been talking about?
Yeah, we are working on this project in phases.
Okay.
Basically, we're looking at about 4 timelines, if I should put it, 4 phases. The first one was the telescope, which we are currently working on, was for satellite communication and was static, so stationary. So the first phase, we call it the first engineering phase, had been to make sure that the telescope is able to rotate in the azimuth and in the elevation.
Okay.
To be able to track sources and to be able to do observation.
Okay. If you were to convince, I mean, we have just like a few seconds to go. If you were to convince the people of Ghana on why they should be interested in this science, scientific stuff that's very actually sometimes boring. If you were to convince them on a final note, what would you say?
Well, this is a very high sophisticated instrument that we can use to develop a lot of technology that can benefit our country. For example, the internet that you use, the microwave you use, the phone calls that you make, all these technologies came from this science that we are going to do in Ghana here.
Okay.
You can also apply it in medicine, doing microwave thermography to analyze people and see if they have cancer or tumor deep down in their bodies. Also, all these technologies are going to come out from this very instrument that we are going to launch in August this year.
So obviously we should be interested. Your final word, sir.
Thank you. Astronomy is one of the oldest sciences, if I should put it. But in Ghana here is an emerging field of science.
Okay.
So we need a push from government level to the educational institutions level.
Okay.
To be able to train the needed human to take up this project.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for passing through on the studio. Dr. Benadria Asabre is a research scientist at the Ghana Atomic Commission. He's the lead scientist and line manager at the Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory. And Dr. Eric Agri is a research scientist at the Ghana Atomic Commission as well, project manager for the Ghana Space Science and Technology Talking Science. Thank you very much for coming. You're still watching The Pulse. Time now for sports on The Pulse. Gary Smith is standing by.